Hi, kindergarten. It's Miss Stewart and Ralph. Hi, kindergarten. It's really great to have you today because we are going to read on in our story. And I want to remind you where we were last. Last time we read together, we met a character named Chum. Chum was a hamster brought in by a little girl that goes to Happy Acres Camp. Last time we read, Chum was explaining to Ralph how he ended up in the craft shop. Let's continue. Our sisters were loaded in beside us along with a box of turtles, a cage of rather downhearted canaries, and two large cages, one containing puppies and the other some very silky kittens. Oh yes, and a cage of white mice. White mice? Said Ralph scornfully. Anybody, not just owls, could see white mice in the dark. Then the man with the doggy-smelling hands climbed into the front seat along with his wife, and we were off. Where to? Asked Ralph. The county fair, answered Chum, and it was a terrible trip. Kittens meowed, puppies whimpered, turtles scrabbled around in their box. What's a county fair? Interrupted Ralph. A noisy place, said Chum. It's full of people yelling, children laughing and shrieking, machinery that whirls and spins and plays music, all sorts of animals that neigh and moo and baa. It was hot and dusty, and our cages were set out in a booth. By that time, we hamsters were exhausted. It had been light for several hours, and we hadn't had a wink of sleep. I know what you mean, said Ralph. That was only the beginning, explained Chum. A steady stream of people, mostly children, passed our cages, big, little, and most of them sticky and all of them noisy. Look, Mommy, look, Daddy. Look at that darling little hamster. I want one, Daddy. Buy me a hamster. All morning long. Parents were better. Don't be silly. Of course you can't have a hamster, they would say. You didn't take care of the last hamster you had. Come along, we don't have time to look at hamsters. Then a whole busload of children, all of them wearing t-shirts with letters across the front. Camp t-shirts? Interrupted Ralph. From Happy Acres Camp? They didn't have any parents with them, so they all bought pets. You? Asked Ralph. Me, said Chum. I was bought by that girl with freckles. To make a long story short, the doggy hand stuffed me into a hot little cardboard box with a few so-called air holes it poked into it. I spent the rest of the day being jounced around, peeked at, and fed bits of caramel corn. Sounds good to me, said Ralph. Maybe to a mouse. There was a touch of scorn in Chum's voice. We rode a bus to this camp where a counselor put together a cage out of a bucket with a piece of screen bent over the top. After a few days, the girl's family arrived. There was quite a fuss when the parents saw that their daughter owned a hamster, but her two little brothers set up a howl that once more I was stuffed into a box with the so-called air holes. And after more bouncing and jouncing, I arrived at the family's house where I was put in this cage where I've lived ever since. And friends, I would like to stop right there because I have an assignment for you. I would like you, listening to what we just read about Chum explaining how he got here, I would like you to write a sentence about how does Chum feel about this. Did he sound happy or did he sound a little bit frustrated with the way he ended up at Happy Acres Camp? I would like you to write it down in your journal, take a picture and send it to my email, and I'll see you soon. Thanks, guys.